Hey, how's it going, friends? Thank you for tuning in to VR Revelations. Welcome. Please make sure you give this video a like and make sure you subscribe for future coverage. Also, if you would like to support the channel, check out the links below. So let's jump right into it. It is April 13, the year of our Lord 2023. And as you can see here on the screen via Fox News, it looks like the FBI has arrested a suspect concerning the leaked documents, which were just made known to the public. Now, if you don't know much about this, well, then I don't blame you. But essentially, somebody leaked a whole bunch of documents, and a lot of the information in these documents had to do with the war in Ukraine, and it did not shed a favorable light on the situation for Ukraine or NATO or the US. As a matter of fact, the documents sort of shed this light, essentially telling us what many of us already know here on this channel, that Russia is winning the conflict and the situation is not looking good for Ukraine. So it's really not some new revelation that we didn't already know. As I've been analyzing the war and many others, a lot of people know that Ukraine is losing the war, and that Ukraine never really stood a chance, and that the only reason that they've been, the only reason they are still in the fight is because of the support they've been receiving from NATO and from the US and these other nations. So we've seen tanks, missiles that were provided to Ukraine, billions of dollars. But that's still not enough, right? They're only giving Ukraine enough support to stay in the fight, but not to actually threaten Russia. And a lot of these documents were essentially stating this, something that really isn't surprising, but it's definitely shocking to the West. And it just shows that the mainstream media in the West has been lying about the situation. Now, originally, I didn't really pay attention to these documents. It looks like the American officials really haven't came out and verified the truth of these documents. And so I thought it could have been just some false propaganda or something like that. But now that we're actually seeing the FBI arrest a suspect, it gives credibility to these documents. So we're going to be taking a read here from two American news sources, of course, Fox News, which is reporting on this arrest, and then as a recap on what the documents are, we're going to be taking a look at this article here from PBS NewsHour, so that we can get a summary of of the content of these documents, and then we can jump back over to the arrest that the FBI made. So let's go ahead and take a read at this here. What we know about the leaked classified documents about the war in Ukraine. Washington. It's been less than a week since news of highly classified military documents on the Ukraine war surfaced, sending the Pentagon into full speed damage control to assure allies and assess the scope of the leak. The information on scores of slides has publicized potential vulnerabilities in Ukraine's air defense capabilities and exposed private assessments by allies on an array of intelligence matters, raising questions about whether the leak will erode allies' trust in sharing information with the U.S. or impact Ukraine's plans to intensify the fight against Russia this spring. So, again, the leaks here are pretty much telling us that Russia is winning the war. Some people are actually surprised at this. So, they were actually eating up what the Pentagon, what the U.S. was saying, making it seem like Russia was somehow losing the conflict and Ukraine was winning. And again, a lot of the Western population believes what the government say, guys. Even after Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, even after all the lies that the government is has told, they still continue to fall for their lies. And so it's almost ridiculous when you get a document like this, or that you need these leaks in order to open people's eyes to the actual reality of the situation. Now, again, I'm neither pro-Russian nor pro-American. I think everything that's happening in the world is in accordance to biblical prophecy, but I don't like being lied to, right? I live in the West, and if the West is losing, if things aren't going well for the West in Ukraine, I want to know the truth, right? Tell me, speak to me truthfully. I'm a grown person. I don't need lies, right? I don't need to be deceived. I don't want to be deceived. But these leaders, these people, these elites, they do lie because they are advancing their own interest. They're making billions of dollars from this war. They are unjustly carrying out these operations and instigating in that part of the world. And, you know, it's an evil thing, right? It's hypocrisy, right? They always want to blame Russia and China. They always want to make Russia and China seem like the boogeymen. But so the U.S. tries to keep up this appearance of a righteous nation. But as we can clearly see here, it's just a bunch of hypocrisy. So let's continue to read here. Overall, the leaked documents present a very serious risk to national security, a top Pentagon spokesman told reporters Monday. So this is a very serious leak here. This is a look at what the documents are, what is known about how they surfaced, and their potential impact. What are they? The classified documents which have not been individually authenticated by U.S. officials, range from briefing slides mapping out Ukrainian military positions to assessments of international support for Ukraine and other sensitive topics, including under what circumstances Russian President Vladimir Putin might use nuclear weapons. So, according to this document, the U.S. Is already calculating the possibility of, Putin using nuclear weapons. So this is all going on behind the scenes. Meanwhile, when they come out on the press conferences, they have a completely different story. They try to downplay the situation, which again, it should be no surprise. Most governments aren't going to tell the population what they are doing, what their plans are. And this goes for every nation across the board. That's why you shouldn't blindly put your faith in your government. I don't blame you for being nationalistic, for being patriotic, but let's at least be sincere, right? There is corruption in every government. There's no clear answer on how many documents were leaked. The Associated Press has viewed approximately 50 documents. Some estimates put the total number in the hundreds. So this is a massive leak. Where did they come from? No one knows for sure, not even the Pentagon chief. Well, we're getting more information now as we're going to be taking a look at the arrest of this young kid who released apparently this information. They were somewhere in the web, and where exactly and who had access at that point, we don't know. We simply don't know. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said at a press conference Tuesday. So this is highly sensitive information that's about the situation in Ukraine that's not favorable to the Western's agenda. And Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, is saying we don't know where they were on the web and how they had access to these documents, guys. So do you think that if this kid was able to get access to these documents, don't you think that Russia and China and all these other major governments have far deeper access to what's going on behind the scenes in the U.S.? I would think so. So they all know what their plans are. They all know what they are all thinking and planning. It's possible the leak may have started on a site called Discord. Discord is a social media platform popular with people playing online games. The Discord site hosts real-time voice, video, and text chats for groups and describes itself as a place where you can belong to a school club, a gaming group, or a worldwide art community. So I've used Discord. If you play on the on a computer, on a PC, even on PlayStation and Xbox, you have access to Discord. Essentially, it's an application somewhat similar, let's say, to like Messenger or Zoom or these other applications where you can have where you can talk to people via video, via chat, via voice chat. But a lot of the gaming community uses Discord to speak with other gamers across the world and to communicate. So looks like this young man that leaked the documents was a gamer. In one of those forums originally created to talk about a range of topics, members would debate the war in Ukraine. According to one member of the chat, an identified poster shared documents that the poster claimed were classified, first typing them out with the poster's own thoughts, then, as of a few months ago, uploading images of folded papers. The person who said he was a member of the forum told the Associated Press that another person, identified online as Luca, shared the documents in a different Discord chat. From there, they appeared to have been spread until they were picked up by the media. Many details of the story can't be immediately verified, and top U.S. officials acknowledge publicly that they're still trying to find answers. Here's the juicy bits about the leaks. What's been revealed? The leaks have highlighted how closely the U.S. monitors how its allies and friends interact with Russia and China. So the U.S. is being nosy right now, and it looks like it's paranoid, so apparently they're keeping an eye out on everybody that talks with Russia and China. Officials in several countries have denied or rejected allegations from the leaked records. The Associated Press has reported on U.S. intelligence picking up claims from Russian operatives that they were building a closer relationship with the United Arab Emirates, the oil-rich Middle Eastern nation that hosts important American military installations. The UAE rejected the allegations, calling them categorically false. Of course, everybody's going to reject this, guys. They don't want to admit that they're all lying. The Washington Post reported Monday that Egypt's president ordered subordinates to secretly prepare to ship up to 40,000 rockets to Russia as it wages war in Ukraine. A spokesman for the Egyptian Foreign Ministry said Egypt was maintaining non-involvement in the crisis and committing to maintaining equal distance with both sides. So apparently the documents here revealed that Egypt is planning on supporting Russia, which wouldn't be surprising, honestly. Other leaks have concerned allegations that South Korean leaders were hesitant to ship artillery shells to Ukraine, and that Israel's Mossad spy service opposed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposed overhaul of the judiciary. Funded at $90 billion annually, the U.S. intelligence agencies have sweeping powers to tap electronic communications, run spies, and monitor with satellites. The result of those powers are rarely seen in public, even in limited form, which, again, it's not surprising, guys. We're all being spied on right now. The FBI can literally tap into everything you're doing right now. U.S. response. The Pentagon has begun an internal review to assess the leak's impact on national security. The review is being led by Melancy D. Harris, the Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, a defense official said in a statement to the Associated Press. The team includes representatives from the Offices of Legislative Affairs, Public Affairs, Policy, Legal Counsel, and the Joint Staff, the official said. The Pentagon was also quick to take steps to reduce the number of people who have access to briefings, a second defense official said. Both officials spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. Pentagon officials are also closely monitoring where the leaked slides are being posted and amplified, said Chris Meager, assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs. What's the impact? Senior military leaders have been contacting allies to address the fallout. That includes calls at a high level to reassure them of our commitment to safeguarding intelligence and fidelity to our own security partnerships. Those conversations began over the weekend and are ongoing. So yeah, it looks like they didn't really get into the the juicy bits about Ukraine, essentially saying that Ukraine is struggling right now, that Russia uh, is essentially winning the conflict, that support is waning for Ukraine, that they just don't have enough munitions. Pretty much stuff we already know that the West has been lying about has been confirmed in these documents. And you would think, well, if it's not true, then you wouldn't have an arrest, right? The government would say, well, that's just somebody just created these supposed leaks, but we're not going to pay attention to them since they're false. It's like me, typing a paper and claiming that they're government leaks. I'm sure they're not going to do anything about it if it's false, right? You can imagine, anybody can just create false leaks and release them. But the fact that the FBI has now actually arrested somebody gives the leaks credibility, right? Essentially, they are admitting that, yes, somebody did leak these documents. This is information that was supposed to be kept secret, so this person broke the law, and we have to bring them to justice. And it looks like we now have a suspect. So let's go ahead and take a read here from this Fox News article. FBI arrests Massachusetts Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira in probe of classified document leaks. Jack Teixeira, 21, was arrested in Massachusetts on Thursday for allegedly leaking classified national defense information. So, I mean, this is like Julian Assange type of stuff right here, right? Edward Snowden, like these are big. This is a big time right here, guys. And again, I think Ukraine already made some statements saying that these leaks only benefit Russia. So Zelensky already came out and said he's worried that when Bakhmut falls, which it pretty much has already, Ukraine is going to lose support from the supporting nations, and the people are going to become depressed, and they're going to push Zelensky to veto for a peace deal. And so this is just adding fuel to the fire in a major way. So it looks like we actually have aerial footage here of the arrest of this young man, guys. So before we take a look at the article, let's go ahead and watch this video. All right, so you can definitely see there they took an armored car. There was a helicopter there, so they really went all in to arrest this kid here. And yeah, it's not good for him, guys. But can you imagine an American citizen? And there's already people trying to accuse him of being a Russian asset. But again, the fact that they actually arrested him, it just verifies and confirms that at least most of the information here, or at least some of it, is true. It actually comes from the government. And so can you imagine an American leaking documents, telling the truth, right, of a real analysis of what's going on, and then being arrested because the government doesn't want the population to know the truth? That's what they're literally saying right here. And again, it's not surprising if you actually go back to Iraq and Afghanistan, which they've already admitted was everything they were saying to the public was a whole bunch of lies. They even laugh about it. George Bush has joked about it, calling the war in Iraq evil, on par with what Russia is doing in Ukraine. And all these people, all these ignorant people, they'll still debate you. Oh, Putin is evil, Russia's evil. We're out there, we have to combat them. He had no justification for invading Ukraine. The U.S. is just doing what it has to. And they're completely oblivious to history, right? To the fact that the U.S. has unjustly provoked all of these wars, just like they did with Russia. They tried to make Ukraine a vassal state in order to go in there via NATO and install weapons, possibly nuclear bases, so they could have a closer range of attack on Russia. And so Russia was literally forced to stop that, right? And so they had to invade Ukraine, much like what the U.S. would do if Russia ever attempted to militarize Mexico, right? Even with Mexico's permission. And again, I don't blame you for being nationalistic. If you want to stand up for the U.S., right? If you're an American citizen, I don't blame you for that. But at least be honest, right? Don't try to pretend like the U.S. isn't being a hypocrite here. Don't try to pretend like the U.S. didn't cause this. Like they're not trying. Like they don't have their own agenda. Right? Like they haven't unjustly invaded other countries and killed thousands of people. It's those people that get you angry, right? That they so blindly put all their faith into what these corrupt politicians and leaders are saying, and they'll actually fight you about it. So it's pretty disgusting. But anyways, let's go ahead and read the article here. FBI agents arrested Massachusetts Air National Guardsman. So this kid was an Air National Guardsman, Jack Douglas Teixeira, at a home in North Dighton, Massachusetts, on Thursday in connection with a trove of classified documents that have been leaked online in recent months. Attorney General Merrick Garland said that Teixeira, 21 years old, is being investigated for the alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira, who joined the Air National Guard in September 2019, held the highest level security clearance granted by the federal government for top secret information. So that's pretty impressive in and of itself. This kid is 21 years old, and somehow he achieved the highest level security clearance granted by the federal government. And again, kudos to him for letting the public know the truth of what is going on, right? The hypocrisy of the United States and how the U.S. Has essentially caused this conflict, right, to advance its interests in order to try and destabilize Russia. He pretty much sacrificed his liberty. I'm not quite sure if he really thought that far or if he thought he wouldn't get caught after seeing how the U.S. literally extradited Julian Assange, right, or how they went after Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Kudos to him for sticking to his convictions and for trying to let the people know the truth of what is going on. And even though he released these documents, and now the government is essentially admitting via this arrest that these documents did come from the government, people are still going to, are still going to try and support Ukraine on, because they're blind. They're blind, right? They are self-righteous. They want to instill their values on other nations, on other peoples who don't want to live by their values. And so, as I've always said before, guys, we're going to have wars till the world ends, and I think we're close to that. So yeah, according to another internal government document. So here you have a picture, so you can see very young. Teixeira was most recently stationed at Otis Air National Guard Base as a member of the 102nd Intelligence Wing. He was promoted to Airman First Class last July, according to the unit. The FBI began surveilling Teixeira in connection with the leaks before Thursday, but were forced to accelerate their plans to arrest him after the New York Times identified him on Thursday morning. A source briefed on the investigation told Fox News. So shouldn't they be arresting Lloyd Austin and Joe Biden and all these politicians who have been lying pretty much? Aren't they the real criminals, right? The New York Times report named Teixeira as the leader of a Discord group called Thug Shaker Central that consisted of roughly 20 to 30 young men. Teixeira allegedly started sharing classified documents with a private group in recent months, but the leaks gained wider attention after another member shared them in a public forum, according to the report. Investigators don't believe that the case ends with Teixeira and are looking at other people who may be involved, a source told Fox News. The National Guard said in a statement it is aware of the alleged role a Massachusetts Air National Guardsman may have played in the recent leak of highly classified documents from the Pentagon. The National Guard takes this issue very seriously and will support investigators. The National Guard said in a statement, national security is our foremost priority, and any attempt to undermine it and compromise our values and degrade our trust among our members, the public, allies, and partners, and I would add to that, and expose our lies. Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder called the leaks a deliberate criminal act, saying the distribution lists for classified information are being reviewed. I would say lying to the public about the situation in Ukraine is a criminal act. We entrust our members with a lot of responsibility at a very early age, Ryder said at a press conference on Thursday. And you could very well add here, and we expect them not to tell the public the truth and to go along with the lies the government tells. This Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also ordered a review on Thursday of intelligence access, accountability, and control procedures. President Biden said earlier Thursday that the U.S. was getting close to finding the person responsible for leaking Pentagon documents and exposing their lies, that the Department of Defense has described as containing sensitive and highly classified material. So it's pretty hilarious because everything these documents are saying is essentially what we're analyzing here in other YouTube channels, and what we've been telling people, that Russia is clearly winning the conflict on every map we look at on the battlefield, and that the propaganda that's coming out of the U.S. is the same bunch of garbage lies that they've told in the past in Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other unjustified wars and invasions of other countries. And there you have it, guys. As I always like to say, the truth is stranger than fiction. Again, this kid is in trouble. He's probably going to see prison time. He's of age. He risked his freedom in order to tell the public the truth. Expect the U.S. government to come out and tell even more gross lies to try and discredit this guy. We're probably going to see attacks on his personality. We're already seeing accusations that he might be a Russian asset, possibly. They're going to try to make him seem like he's Vladimir Putin's son or something like that. But yeah, the leaks aren't nothing surprising here, guys. This is a failed mission for the U.S. Zelensky has sacrificed his people for U.S. interests, and this has only strengthened Russia. And I believe, personally, we're going to see a culmination to this conflict this year, and Russia is going to come out on top, as they are right now, as we can clearly see by these leaked documents. So we know that the U.S. is aware of this. This is actually their analysis, right? They're actually saying what we've all been saying here, but they have to keep up appearances, right? They have to try and justify this conflict, and so they spew out a whole bunch of propaganda so that the average man and woman can swallow it and not question the evil corruption that is taking place here. But yeah, there you have it, guys. I will keep an eye out here for more developments, and personally, I think this is going to have this is definitely going to discourage support for Ukraine. I think this is going to change a lot of people's minds, a lot of leaders worldwide that are supporting the U.S. and NATO in their support of Ukraine. And yeah, I think this is just going to precipitate what we were already estimating, which is the collapse of Zelensky's government. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. Remember, the truth is stranger than fiction. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.